Okay, so I'm recording a series on one of the biggest bags of wind I've ever encountered in terms of war, hoaxers, and liars. In fact, this gentleman enjoys it so much that he just can't contain himself from laughing at his own stories. And it's coming to you off a video called JIMA 36 Days of Hell, the true story. It's a DVD. Let's join this enjoyable liar.
Anyway, the captain, I was on the radio with him. I was telling him what was going on, and he says, can you use a half-track? Half-track's track vehicle that has 75 millimeters. Yes, send it up. So he sent it up, and boy, it went steep.
Hey, I thought maybe you said, can you use an 8-track tape? No, hey, can you use a half-track? Hey, listener, can you use a half-track?
Right up to the edge, you know, and it was just, it's armored, and it was able to fire right down, point-blank fire at the Japanese, and we were really getting him. It took this couldn't have taken more than about 5 minutes total, you know, this firefight. But we got back on top. Once the half-track got there, we were able to come up, and our grenades were really getting him. The other thing that Sisk was doing, he was throwing grenades over the ridge, you know, so they would hit the Japanese as they came out of the cave and back. There must have been, I think, about 50 or 60 Japanese that were killed outside the cave, and I don't know how many of them died in the cave because we never got inside. You know, I didn't get inside. Some of the guys did go inside and came out with a couple of swords and things, but I didn't go in the cave. I just had other things to do. But things got pretty quiet about that time. We'd had some casualties, and we had to evacuate the casualties, and it looked like we were on top of things. You know, the Japanese, all the Japanese we knew about were dead.
That's why it got pretty quiet, because all the Japanese we knew about were dead. You can't believe this guy. I hope you're watching the whole series and not just this one video right now. Watch the whole series, because he's the biggest bag of wind I've ever encountered so far in my several years of YouTube video exposing war as a hoax.
And the cave was silenced, and we thought we were in pretty good shape. You know, we'd lost half a dozen people, but most of them wounded, not killed. And I was standing there talking about 50 feet from the cave with couple of the guys. Suddenly there's tremendous noise like nothing I've ever heard before or since, you know, just the most god-awful noise you can imagine. I turn around and I see this hillside where the cave was, you know, just rising up in the air, just going straight up, you know, and I thought, my God, you know, rocks and boulders, big boulders. And so then it starts to fall, you know, it goes out like a mushroom cloud and begins to fall, and so I hit the deck. There's nothing else to do. There's no place to hide. I just hit the deck, you know, and all this stuff began to land on my back, you know. And I thought, my God, I'm being buried here. So some of it hurt, you know. But I was lucky again, because if I'd been a few feet farther out, the biggest rocks would have hit me. That explosion killed quite a few people. Were killed by the size of the biggest rocks, you know. We had to dig them out. But the people were in closer, not too close to be blown up, but close enough. They got a lighter kind of rubble, you know. The big rocks had gone over my head. So I was only half buried, and when it all stopped, I could sort of force myself up, you know, and out. Remember, our radio had an aerial that was bent, you know, but it still worked. And I told the captain, I said, we've got to have stretcher bearers up here. We've got a bunch of people that need help right now. So the captain came forward with the whole headquarters company, you know. They all came up with stretchers, and they dug the people out and took them back.
It's bad enough he had to worry about the Japanese in the caves, but the island blew up. A volcano! Hey, now well, you know, there's another hoax on this, a volcano hoax. He's in the middle of fighting Japanese, and all of a sudden these rocks come out of nowhere. Look at him. He just loves his stories. And I'll tell you what, this is one of the most fun videos I've ever made about war hoaxing.
We're still alive. And meantime, I'd taken the people that the captain had told me. He said, be sure you make sure that the line is plugged, because sometimes when they do that, there's a counterattack. So I took what guys could still walk, you know, and we went up and made a line to the, in case any Japanese came through it, but none of them did. There was nobody left. They had to counterattack at that time. Anyway,
Yeah, I do have a question. When the volcano exploded on you, did it explode on the Japanese too? Maybe that's what happened to them. They all got knocked out by the volcano.
kind of shook, you know. Everybody was kind of shook. But, and I didn't mention that during this firefight, I had a hell of a time keeping in touch with the captain by radio, you know. I was just involved in the firefight, you know, trying to shoot and...
Yeah, the only thing he's shooting right now is bull. He's trying to shoot a gun, talk to the captain on the radio. He just recovered from the volcano exploding. And don't forget, if you watch the other video, the Japanese liver that flew out of the cave.
Make sure that, go back and forth, make sure I knew what was going on, and the idea of, you know, working this switch and talking to him was just difficult. He kept chewing me out, you know. You gotta keep on, tell me what's happening, you know. Don't forget to press the switch. So
Okay, so I'm going to end this here, but I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a whole series on this one interview with this one dude who really enjoys lying and making up stories that are so unbelievable that he himself cannot contain his laughter. End of video.